recording is up. Yeah, it's up. Okay. Um, Thanks for attending the gentle, gentle introduction to AI, where it's more focused on Azure AI and also more on the current trend on large language models. But I think I will go through some of the basics on AI first, then I will only work into the path into what is going on LLM and all of the Azure AI services. So anyhow, I'm your host today. I'm Benedict. I'm a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador beta level. And yep, this is actually my last MLSA event. All right. So what is this talk about, right? Okay, before we go into this, AI itself, I'm not sure do like any one of you have some basics knowledge about it, but basically the theory about AI is not replacing human, but it's trying to do what human can do, right? It's actually imitating what humans is doing. Like for example, humans can calculate maths, but why we are using AI to do it? Because AI can do it faster, right? Means that as a human, we don't need to go and work on all of those repetitive stuff. And so with like normally if you want to predict what weather is it gonna be, or you want to predict how high will a house price be, you can actually calculate it, but you need a lot of effort and a lot of time. So now AI is here is actually to solve what humans can do, but in a more optimized way, right? So and also some context on what does algorithm has in a sense of what is a category of AI, right? There are supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and also reinforcement learning, where supervised learning is like, for example, I give you a scenario where you wanted to predict house price. Okay, so with that being said, right, house price you has a target, so that's why it's saying like supervised, because supervised you know what you want. So with that being said, like what does affect the house price as a factors is like maybe the distance to a public transport station, or maybe the size of the house, right? So all of these things can contribute to the final target that we wanted to know. So that is basically supervised learning. And unsupervised learning is you don't have a target, but you have the data. So for example, you are heading to a library and you wanted to know what are the categories of book that's available. So um, what you do here, you just throw all of the books that is available in the library, and you let the AI to decide what are the categories is that. Okay, so the AI will figure out what is the categories that is in the library. So this is normally called clustering, but there are more algorithms that fall inside unsupervised and supervised learning, right? So the last one is reinforcement learning. If any one of you play games here, you basically know what is reinforcement learning. So sometimes when there are not enough players, and there are also like not a PvP mode, but a PvP versus bot mode, which that is actually reinforcement learning, because how they actually train all of the players, as in the fake players, right, is a robot. So they actually place the robot inside of the game, and it will has a reward system and somewhat like a, so the reward system will be like for each of the actions that the bot do. Like for example, if you are doing like Sudoku, so you are fighting with a bot to see who is faster, right? So the Sudoku, maybe they have like an easy level, intermediate level, and difficult level, right? So the easy level, the bot score will be lower compared to the difficult level bot score when they are training the models, because for each of the action they actually assign a points to the model, where each of the bots can achieve a score where they know that, hey, maybe I can achieve higher to be better in the game. So that's basically reinforcement learning. Sorry, I did not like prepare the slides here, but I guess you guys can get a glimpse of what the basic of AI is about, right? And now we are heading back to our slides. Think back to November 2021. So what is this about, right? It's basically about Microsoft Azure AI tools, right? Because before 2021, they are relying on a lot of like applications and applications platform AI builder here for the business users. And now they actually have more services like the scenario-based services, bot service that works on creating a custom bot, and also cognitive search, which is more like you are building Google search, right? It's something like that, but you have a service to actually feed in your own training data and the bot can search throughout the content. And form recognizer, which is what the service can actually identify what is in your document, and it will convert it into a text form or a table form. So that's form recognizer. And then video indexer, I think this is pretty straightforward. It's how it can optimize the videos. And there are metrics advisor, and of course immersive reader. Immersive reader, I guess a lot of you should be familiar to it, because normally when you are using Microsoft Office tools, you will definitely see it. It can actually read the text that is happening in a Microsoft Teams chat, or happening in a Microsoft Teams announcement. Yeah, so immersive reader is basically converting the text into a voice where you can listen to it, right? And then there are also customizable AI models that is provided in Azure. So vision, pretty straightforward. So whatever that you wanted to work with, like image, where, for example, you wanted to categorize the image of a dog or image of the cat, so you can actually use Azure Vision here, and Azure Speech here is for, of course, it's for voice, okay? And then language, pretty straightforward as well, is for like translation and also more than that, right? And also decision, I would say it's more like a prediction model that you can custom it. Yeah. Okay. And of course, if let's say this, because what is the difference of the ML platform and customizable AI models? Customizable AI models are actually pre-trained by Microsoft, meaning that you can still fit in your data, but the model is actually somewhat matured that you can actually already use it, or like the degrees of how you can fine tune the models at the preparation phase is already done by Microsoft. So you just need to work on like the maybe fit in your training data to make the model more complete. So that is customizable. And ML platform is where you can build your AI models from scratch, which is Azure Machine Learning Service. Okay. So, and nowadays there are a new one, which is Azure OpenAI Service. I guess everyone is very familiar with ChatGPT, right? So ChatGPT is actually powered by Azure OpenAI Service. I think someone is trying to join the call, but let me see, is it possible for me to, let me just make it possible to accept everyone in automatically. So wait, let me just okay, so I can focus on the content. Give me a second. Sorry, some technical issues. Okay, yeah, everyone. Bypass. Yes. Okay. So now let's head back to the content. Right. So we have I have kind of explained all of the AI services that is available on Azure. And then yeah. So more than what OpenAI service, because just now as you can see, the business user side is actually empty. So for the business user sites, most of it are like low code to no code. So for example, like Power BI is there for you to actually analyze the data or visualize the data. And there are some AI capabilities where you can further further analyze or further predict with the data that you wanted to visualize or analyze. So Power BI is a data visualization tool where you can transform your data into charts, right? Into, for example, a bar chart, into a pie chart. So that's what Power BI is doing. And Power Apps is basically building application, but with drag and drop. That is provided by Microsoft as well. And Power Automate is a low code drag and drop automation tool. So for example, right, whenever someone submit your Microsoft form, you wanted to send an email. So you can actually use Power Automate to do it. Of course, there are more possibilities that you can do with Power Automate. And then Power Virtual Agents is basically building your own chatbot. but it's drag and drop. So I would say it's different with you are building the chatbot from like converting your training data, your raw data with a specific scripting. But Power Virtual Agents is just like, like Dialogflow, those kind of drag and drops service that is provided by Microsoft. That's why these of the service are more suitable for the business users. And of course, on the application end, I guess everyone's familiar with Microsoft 365, which is what you use for your maybe your student account, or you're using it for your work, which Microsoft Dynamic 365 is something similar to Microsoft 365. Is more on the operations of a company or like marketing itself. You put into it. And of course, there are more like partner solutions that is using Microsoft technologies and enhancing like AI parts. I think someone's is let me just okay. Right. So now once that is done, what is next, right? So what is all the hype about AI, right? So first of all, you can see there's a rising speed of the technological adoption of AI in any different kind of I would say industry. As you can see here, this is like a visualization of what is going on and what is growing, right? And of course, it's not only AI, but this is more like all of the technology is growing. So with AI, we can actually enhance or make something easier, and also, of course, to reduce all those repetitive effort that someone's need to do, right? So what does Microsoft do from like wanted to show you in a timeline form, right? They have like in June 2022, they actually launched GitHub Copilot, which is a service where it helps developer to complete code and give you some suggestions on what to do on your code. So when you are typing, like it's just like autocomplete where you can directly use a tab to finish the whole code. Of course, if you want to look into it, you can definitely give it a try. Okay. And then in October 2022, they actually announced Microsoft Designer. And after that, in January 2023, which is OpenAI is available to everyone, because previously like ChatGPT is there, but as a developer, we can't actually access the models to like build more solutions on top of it, or where is the API, where's the SDK, right? So in January 2023, Microsoft announced that, hey, OpenAI is available. So all of the developers can actually use it as a API to your application. And of course, why this is available, because Microsoft extends the partnership with OpenAI to make that happen. And then Bing and Edge is powered by GPT-4 in February, one after quite a short while. And then what happens after that is ChatGPT, GPT-4 is available in the OpenAI service. And after that, there are like Microsoft 365 Copilot, and GitHub introduced Copilot ads as well. And of course, if you know, right, a DAO E2 is a image generative AI that is provided by Microsoft as well. So this is actually generated by DAO E2, right? So wanted to give you some context of the history of somewhat like AI. Okay, so in 1966, there's a model called Eliza, where it's a typewritten chatbot simulating psychiatrics. I guess you guys can actually read it, but I'll just go through. So 1980 to 1990, there are a return of AI research and birth of new statistics models. So you can actually see, right, when you trace back to everything, actually AI is already there in 1966, just that it's not as good as what it is right now, because at that time maybe there are not enough like training data, and there are not enough exploration on what other algorithms are available. And until now, there are a lot of different research papers are out, and there are more data to play with. So that's why nowadays the AI is better, because they have more context of it's just like you are learning mathematics, right? So in your like primary school phase or kindergarten phase, you just know like sum, minus, and maybe duplication and all of these things. But when times grow, you actually learns about maths and more like quadratic stuff, and how do you calculate more complex like linear exponential of these things. So this is actually how AI works as well, because AI, as I mentioned, is not replacing human, but is trying to be like a human, but he makes all of the tasks that human can do easier because of the computation power, right? So in 2010 and 2015, there are modern assistants like Siri, Cortana, Google Assistant, and nowadays Gen AI is widely used with a transformer architecture, which I will go through what is actually a transformer architecture later. Okay, so actually Gen AI is not started like in last year or this year. It's actually way longer than the duration it is. Like previously, ChatGPT 2 is there for a very long time, but it's not as good as it is right now. ChatGPT 4, ChatGPT 3, which is getting famous like 2 years ago, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically the theory of things. Actually, today's content is more on theory due to the fact that for the demo part, right, as a student account subscription in Azure, it can't afford the whole workload of the application. But I will show you a demo of how Microsoft actually produce products that kind of embed most of their AI tools inside of it. Okay, so language model progression. So as you know, ChatGPT is a large language model. Okay, and then I'm not sure, do any one of you know what is the terms of GPT called? It's actually called generative. Wait, let me check the terms, because there's actually a terms behind of what is GPT. So definition, yeah, generative pre-trained transformer. So that's why we are going to look into what is actually transformer to get a glimpse of what is large language model, because large language models is actually built on top of transformer. So let's see this language models progression. If any one of you built chatbot before, or you have some exploration on natural language processing, NLP, which is how AI understands text or sentence, you will definitely know what I'm going to showing now. But for anyone that is like very new to AI, or you are very new to NLP, this is definitely something that is very important for you to know. So as an AI, okay, he actually needs to understand a sentence as somewhat an array of vector. So vector is basically numbers. He actually transform the text into numbers to somewhat plot it out as a graph, where when a user is prompting something, you actually split all of the text into numbers, and it will find it on the plots that he has. So I would say it's more like, as a Malaysian, right, you might know Malay, you might know English, you might know Chinese, or even what does that call? The Indian language. Okay, I forget about the specific term, but yeah. So when you are talking to someone that is in a different religion, you might directly like convert the translation inside our mind with your mother language. So it's basically how AI is trying to find where is the exact match, and it will return to you. So let's see how it works. It will actually, first thing first, definitely it will split the sentence with a certain token, as you can see here. Then what's next? With this token, it will change it into an array of vector, which in this case is actually a 10-dimensional vector, right? And these numbers, okay, you actually pass through a process of putting a semantic weights. So semantic, for more context, is basically when someone is expressing their emotion. Like normally, if you talk to a chatbot, if the AI doesn't know about semantic, okay, it doesn't know whether the user is like happy or is sad. So if like nowadays, I think most of the chatbots can actually understand what does the user feels, but basically semantic is that meaning. So that's why with this specific vector, it needs to fit in with a semantic weight to understand whether a user is happy, is angry, so it can produce the output or respond to user accordingly. So with this semantic weight, it will actually plot it out as somewhat like a, like a brain structure. You actually have everything connected together. So you will plot it out on something like a map. Okay, because I want to make it like easier to understand, so I want to like visualize it, right? So you plot it out, and when he's finding whatever that you need, he can actually get it from the plots, okay, get it from the map. So for the context matters, like she had coffee, she had strength, and this will be encoded, okay? So for whatever that users send, it will actually be encoded to a sequence of words where through what just now I have shared, right, it will actually tokenize everything into a vector, or you can understand it as a numbers, where the AI can understand, and it will pass to a semantic space, because with this being said, he can understand it in a semantical way where he can understand your emotion and all of those like language that by text you wouldn't feel it, right? So with that being said, once that is done, it will decode it and it will send the response back to you. And this is actually language translation example, but it is relevant to any kind of natural language processing process, right? Okay, so let's see what's new in transformer models. Okay, uh, you can see here there are I would say a sentence. Okay, it highlighted some of the keywords, which these keywords are actually analyzed, and it's more like finding the context of what a user is sending to the chatbot or the model. So it actually identified that, hey, maybe it's a subject, or in that case, it might, if the AI is very strong, it might even know, hey, maybe it's the name of a person, right? So he will directly highlights it, and he will get some specific like importance of the whole message. So the AI finds that, hey, she didn't accept is very important here, where what is the context of the things that she didn't accept, which is the coffee, which is another subject. So that's what a transformer model can do. Okay, so it will find the importance keywords and highlight it, where it will create the relations with the tokens that the AI model has. Okay, so we covered NN here. Of course, you can look through it. It's basically saying that you can change the words into somewhat like a window, where um with so that's why, right, when you are looking at this, right, if you already read finish it, you actually knows why most of the AI tools, it has some limits to the token that you're sending, or limits of the text you're sending, because it will cost them more when they are storing more things that is in the memory of the computer. Of course, it's just like when you are memorizing like some theory stuff to go to an exam, right? You are keep on memorizing. So that is actually what AI, like nowadays, like Gen AI, ChatGPT is doing, is storing each of the text that you send in the memory. So it will get bigger, and it will actually make the cost higher. So yeah, that is why there's a limit. Of course, it's something out of the box. Like if you see what we have here, right? So you can see like yeah, basically I kind of explained. So it applies somewhat like a deep networks, somewhat like a deep learning, but it's not exactly matched. Of course, if you want to look into like what is deep learning, that is definitely better for you guys to actually explore it on your own. It will get into more details when you are looking at. I know it's a bit boring, like the research paper and everything, but that are where the infos are. Okay, so yeah. Okay, all right. So just more context of the GPT model generations here. Okay, so parameters. Okay, you can see in GPT-1 there are only 0.1 billion, and nowadays they already have 100 trillions. what does parameters means, right? Parameters is actually something that can make Gen AI models to fit into your use case better. Okay, so just give you more visualizations with some example here. So if let's say as a computer science student myself, right, or most of you here in the call, maybe you are not a computer science student, but yeah. So as a computer science student, if you ask me to go for a like law exam, law and regulation stuff, I don't even know. What the parameters do here is it will fine tune what the models can do, fits into the specific use case better. So in this case, it will fix a model to understand more context of laws and how the fine tune can work there. Okay, so yeah, I would say this example is not exactly right because what parameters can do is more than that, but you can understand. So with nowadays, like there are 100 trillions here, you can actually make the model better in a oh, I'm muted. Since when? Since when? I hope it's not from the start. I hope it's just now when I'm sending this. Hopefully. Okay. So
Bro, you're muted. You're muted.
who is muting me? Hi. I didn't expect this to happen in a community event, but okay, let me just do it. Meeting chat allows mic for attendees. I think there is a Yeah, someone is playing with muting. Okay. Okay, so basically token is the text that you will send into it, and the prompt is what you are sending. So normally when you see like there's a token restriction happening in your ChatGPT tools, or like nowadays if you're using like Copilot, there are only 5 text messages per subject, right, per topics, right? So that is actually how they control the token, because when times comes, like I mentioned just now, right, if the token is like very long, it's very lengthy, like there are a lot of message histories, that will actually cause the AI models and the completion time to be higher, and the cost of actually triggering it will be higher as well. So yeah, that's some key terms that you will need to know. And OpenAI plus Microsoft. Okay, so this is just some context of what OpenAI is doing and what Microsoft is doing, and with their similar goal, they actually, they partner together. So OpenAI is actually another company, and Microsoft is another company. So they actually partner together to give users access to OpenAI services, ChatGPT, and all of these services, right? So these are all of the services that this whole partnership provides to users. So the text base is GPT 3.5, GPT 4, and if you want to use like the older model, GPT 3, GPT 2, that are available as well. And then ChatGPT for conversations, right? And so the difference about text and conversation is text is most likely just one time, meaning that you wouldn't have like the message histories. So conversation, as what it says, is self-explanatory, where it will be like a chat, right? You are talking to each other. Okay. So for code completion, they also have something called codex. So it's just like GitHub Copilot. Okay, I would say GitHub Copilot is actually using codex. So yeah, that is for code completion, and of course for images they are using DALL-E 2. Okay, so some examples of each of it that I mentioned just now. I will leave it here for a few seconds for you guys to look into what is the difference. Okay, as you can see, this is just one time, this is a conversation, and this is code completion. Or you can even ask the ChatGPT to produce like a JSON format of a object, and you can even ask him to do like SQL. Of course, there are more, right? Different languages and stuff, and image generation for DALL-E too, as you can see here. All right. So Microsoft Cloud, I think this is more on the how does things being transfer across the, like when users trigger the AI and what is actually running behind. You can see there are like a operational database, and there are analysis and data governance that actually protects the data, right? So these are more context of how the items are being running, and if you are using Azure and you have a subscription, so you wouldn't be afraid of using it because of the understanding where how things are working behind. So of course these are very important, even though you are not like very into AI, or you are using AI but you are not very technical. It's still very important for you to know what is happening behind, so for whatever data that you provided, it wouldn't leak to everyone, right? So yeah, this is the context of it, and some use cases, how customers or partner company or external companies is actually using the AI services that Microsoft provides. You can see these are some of the examples: summarization, conversational AI, which chatbot, writing assistant, faster software development, knowledge mining. Of course, you can apply this use case in your hackathons as well, right? Just something out of the box, right? So, yep, cool. So Azure AI is not equals Azure OpenAI service. Okay, you can see this for the services that I mentioned just now. Is all falls under Azure AI, but Azure OpenAI service is just one of the services that is provided under the branch of Azure AI. Okay, so yeah, that's the context, right? So if you want to consider like when you should use Azure OpenAI, here are the difference of it. Okay, you need general purpose model that can handle multiple tasks. Because what happens when generative AI is available? Before that, is each of the AI models are actually trained for specific use case. For example, you want to predict a diamond price, right? Or you wanted to, let's say, make a Flappy Bird bot that is very good in playing Flappy Bird, right? So that was what happened before that. But generative AI is models that can actually fix into different tasks, but there are some drawbacks. Okay, but that will be mentioned later. Okay, so the second one is you want to generate human-like content. Okay, and while having the data privacy and security secure, or you want to have a rapid prototyping, means that you have an idea you wanted to propose to someone, or you wanted to use it in hackathons to show that hey, something is working, or you want to show some results, right? You can actually use OpenAI, okay, and then use a model with little or no training, because Azure OpenAI is being trained with a lot of data already. So there are very less chance you need to train it, unless you have a specific use case where you wanted to use it for your company, or you wanted to use it for a specific, like for example, your marketing content, and it wouldn't respond to anything out of that. So you actually need some training data for that. And of course, that is where parameters come in. You can actually fine tune on that. Okay. And then, or you want to explore solutions, use cases that have been described previously, where is shown here. Okay. Right. So of course, other than Azure OpenAI, as I mentioned, there are like Azure Vision, Azure Speech, Azure Language, Azure Decision that is available as well, right? So if let's say you wanted to try Azure OpenAI on your own use case, you can actually go, this is where are the models is. I think it's the same link that I shared just now, but this is where you can look at the pricing of Azure OpenAI service, and how does things work, or you wanted to look at some resources on how do you use it for development, because they actually have some examples that is showing that hey, this is how you can actually plug and play on your application, and how do you want to fine tune it. So that is where things are. Okay, and then check with your data. Yeah, this is where the demo is, but sadly I actually wanted to deploy it, but the student subscription cannot afford the workload of this application itself. But I will show you guys, like, okay, this is how things work, right? So there's an application where this is where user can see it's a display. And what happens when user interact with the application, if it has an app servers that runs behind, where it's connected to Azure OpenAI, and it's connected to Azure Cognitive Search, which is where all of your data is in. So this application that they are building here is multiple documents that fit into form recognizer, where it changed the document into something that a computer can understand, as in a text, right? So maybe your document has onboarding process of your technical assistant, right? So you wanted to use that. So you can just throw your document in, and the form recognizer will get all of the text that is inside of the document. Then once that is done, it will index and make it into cognitive search. As I mentioned, cognitive search is just like you want to build something like Google search or Bing search, right? So cognitive search can search whatever info that you fits into from that is like converted into text from the form recognizer. And with that being said, when the user is interacting to it, it will search all of the data that is in there, and Azure OpenAI service here will respond it with the relevant information. So this is one of the examples. I will just show you the video. Sadly, I couldn't deploy it, but I will share the link of the GitHub as well. Okay, so this is a showcase of it. The video is quite lengthy because it's basically showing like it will talk to the chatbot, and the chatbot will show the relevance of what of the data. So this is the PDF that one of the PDF that is fit into the, what is that? The search, yeah, the Azure Open Search. So you can see there are like 109 page. Just wanted to show you like AI can do like a very high workload, because as a human, if you wanted to read like 109, it will be a very lengthy process, right? So is it possible for me to make it faster? Okay. So it's just like how you respond to like ChatGPT, or how you prompt ChatGPT. So this is a example of how you can do it in a technical way, right? It has some I'll show you the code later. So yeah. So it show this is the response that is get from whatever content that you have there, and it will even show the citation. So when the user click on the citation, right? So you can see this is where it fetch the values from. It's asking about Northwind Health Plus plan. So the open source service can actually find exactly where is the content is, and it will fit into the OpenAI service as a response to it. So you can see here is this, right? So this is what falls behind, because as AI models, it has some steps that falls behind to actually provide the specific response to you. So there are some thought process here, right? I guess that's basically the whole demo is about. Yeah, so you're asking more questions that is because it's a conversation. So the OpenAI service will understand like what happened just now. He's asking about Health Plus. So when the user is asking like cover eye exams, you actually trace back, hey, it must be something relevant to Health Plus. So you will find something that is more relevant to it, right? So yeah, this is basically that. So if there are no data, then it will definitely won't answer to the questions, right? So yeah, AI responsible. Okay, before I forget, right? Let me just share the GitHub link, if in case you guys want to try it on your own. They're muting again. I don't think so. I don't think they can do it. I don't think so. Yeah. So childish. Okay. Anyways, responsible AI, right? So how and what you should not do with generative AI specifically. Okay, so as mentioned here, AI is just trying to do what human can do. Means that it's not intelligent. Means that it can't think on his own if you don't actually give some data to it. Okay, and it can actually make decision to you. So for example, you wanted to know how you should invest in crypto maybe, or how you should invest in fixed deposit. So the AI cannot actually give you the specific answer to the best path of investing it, but it can actually suggest some steps what you can do or what things you should consider, right? And grounded means that it's not, how do I explain this? I think it's more like it's not directly pinned to the fact itself, right? So generative AI, because the use case of generative AI or definition of generative AI is basically a AI that is purposed to generate something, right? Is it a media, is it a text, or is it a video, right? So the things that is generated might not be directly same as what the fact is. So for example, you can see here what generative AI cannot do, right? It cannot understand language or maths. That's why I always see it funny if someone is asking a generative AI bot to calculate it, because what generative AI will do here, it will actually predict something. Okay, it will try to generate something instead of giving you the exact calculation. And there are actually like AI bots that can do calculations, or you can just use a calculator tools. So I would say that is some context that people are not having like deeper understanding of what generative AI is capable in and what is the use case. That's why sometimes people are like, hey, generative AI can't do like calculations, which is like written in what generative AI is not capable in because of their purpose itself. So yeah, and it can't understand manners or emotions. It can try to understand the semantics, but sometimes it's still a robot, right? It's still a robot. It's still just numbers falling behind that is running it. So it still can't predict that as well as a human. Okay, and then it does not know facts that are not in its training data set. Means that, let's say you are asking a Gen AI bot on your friend's maybe house address, it wouldn't know it if you don't like fit in the data. And of course, if you're asking house address, most likely if you don't have a specific like access to the data, the Gen AI will actually ban you with some, something that is called guardrail here. So back then when Gen AI is very famous, some like in 2022, then some of the malicious people actually do something called DAN, do anything now. So you ask the chatbot to actually like create a bomb or something where it will try to confuse the chatbot and make it generate the answers that they want. So that is what guardrails falls into here. So guardrails will actually, you can specify something that the chatbot cannot respond to, and by default, like all of those like generative AI services tools, they actually has the default guardrails already. Just that as a user, you can customize it even further. Okay, so that's what it's about. And use AI output responsibly. How to mitigate hallucinations, because sometimes AI will actually, sometimes they can't give you the exact answers that you want, which is called hallucinations, because it's just generating, right? So that is where prompt engineering comes in. You need to know how to give the best prompt to retrieve your answers. There are multiple like techniques that you can look into, like chain of thoughts, few levels, no, few short uh prompts, and maybe grounded, and more techniques that you can look into it. Of course, you can find prompt engineering where you can get more infos about that. And to mitigate hallucination, you can also go with like provide validated data sources, ask for citations. Like sometimes you want AI to give you more context about maybe healthy lifestyle, but you want to see, hey, where do you actually provide these answers to me? So you can actually try to ask for citations, then the Gen AI will actually provide it to you. Okay, and then third parameters, which is what I mean about like the fine tunes and how you can make it better in use case. So that is more focused on the development end or more focused on the user end, but it's more like the platform user that is maintaining the chatbot can work with the parameters. Okay, and content filtering as well. All right. So if let's say you want to use OpenAI, you definitely need to have the Azure subscription. Student account, I think you still need to ask for the access of the OpenAI, which is here. Okay, you can I think that's like a form there for you to request for the access of the OpenAI service. And then these are the path that you can learn through Microsoft Learn, because they have all of these like things that is available there. Of course, this is the whole link that that is shown here. So I just share this across. Of course, I will share the link in the end of the workshops. Okay, and yeah, that's basically it. So if you guys have any questions, and this is my final MLSA event as well. So yeah, you can ask me anything about maybe the program, or you want to ask me about something specifically on AI tools and stuff. Right. So I will place the call until 9:25 to see is there any more questions. If there are no questions, then we'll call it a day. Yeah. Okay. No one is typing. No one is unmuting. I guess everything is very clear. Or maybe I just share the file here directly. I don't think you guys can access it. Yeah, I don't think you guys can access it because I'm using the student ambassador account. Okay, I guess there are no questions. If that's the case, thank you for attending, and I hope you actually learned something. Although today is more like just theory based, I actually wanted to do the demo like very badly, but yeah, I can't do it because of the credits. I wouldn't want to like use my own money to actually deploy it. So Yeah. Okay. With that being said, thank you for attending. Hope you learned something out of it. And if you are a student from APU, you will still see me around until November. But other than that, yeah, that's all. Okay, right. Thanks for attending. Right,
Thank you.
right. Thank you.